Youcat, question number 341. Can someone earn heaven by good works? No. No man can gain heaven merely by his own efforts. The fact that we are saved is God's grace, pure and simple, which nevertheless demands the free cooperation of the individual. St. Augustine would say, merits are gifts of God. Although it is grace and faith through which we are saved, nevertheless, our good works ought to show the love produced by God's action in us. Question number 342. Are we all supposed to become saints? Yes. The purpose of our life is to be united with God in love and to correspond it entirely to God's wishes. We should allow God to live His life in us, says Mother Teresa. That is what it means to be a holy, a saint. Every man or woman asks himself or herself the question, who am I and why am I here? How do I find myself? Faith answers only in holiness does man become that for which God created him or her. Only in holiness does man or woman find real harmony between himself or herself and his Creator. Holiness, however, is not some sort of self-made perfection. Rather, it is union with the incarnate love that is Christ. Anyone who gains new life in this way finds himself or herself and becomes holy. The letter of St. Peter, the first letter of St. Peter, chapter 1, verse 15 to 16 would say, as He who called you is holy, be holy yourselves in all your conduct, since it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. Blessed Mother Teresa of Calcutta would say, holiness is not the luxury of a few people, but a simple duty for you and me. Chapter 3, the Church. Question number 343. How does the Church help us to lead a good, responsible life? In the Church we are baptized. In the Church we receive the faith that the Church has preserved intact down through the century. In the Church we hear the living Word of God and learn how we must live if we want to please God. Through the sacraments that Jesus entrusted to His disciples, the Church builds up, strengthens, and consoles us. In the Church, there is the blazing fire of the saints by which our hearts are kindled. In the Church, the Holy Eucharist is celebrated, in which Christ's sacrifice and strength are renewed for us in such a way that united with Him, we become His body and live by His strength. Despite all her human weaknesses, apart from the Church, no one can be a Christian. Brother Roger would say to love Christ is the same thing as to love the church. Henry Cardinal de Lubac would say, even today the church gives me Jesus. That is to say, what would I know about him? What connection would there be between him and me without the church? Blaise Pascal reminds, do you want to come to believe but do not know the way? Learn from those who were tormented by doubts before you. Imitate their way of acting. Do everything that the faith requires as though you were already a believer. Attend Mass, use holy water, and so on. That will no doubt make you simple and lead you to faith. Question number 344. Why does the church also make declarations about ethical questions and about matters of personal conduct? Believing is a path. One learns how to stay on this path, in other words, how to act rightly and to lead a good life only by following the instructions in the gospel. The teaching authority, or the magisterium as we call it, of the church must remind people also about the demands of the natural moral law. There are not two truths. What is humanly right cannot be wrong from the Christian perspective. And what is right according to Christianity cannot be humanly wrong. That is why the church must teach comprehensively about moral issues. Question number 345. What are the 5 precepts of the church? 1. You shall attend Holy Mass on Sunday and holy days of obligation and abstain from work or activities that offend against the character of the day. 2. You shall receive the sacrament of penance at least once a year. 3. You shall receive the Eucharist at least during the Easter season. 4. You shall observe the prescribed seasons of fasting and days of abstinence, that is to say, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. 5. You shall contribute to the material support of the church. Question number 346. What is the purpose of the precepts of the church and how binding are they? The 5 precepts of the church, with their minimum requirements, are supposed to remind us that one cannot be a Christian without making a moral effort, without participating personally in the sacramental life of the church, and without union with her in solidarity. They are obligatory for every Catholic Christian. Question number 347. Why is not practicing what you preach such a serious deficiency in a Christian? Agreement between one's life and one's witness is the first requirement for proclaiming the gospel. Not practicing what you profess is therefore hypocrisy, a betrayal of the Christian duty to be salt of the earth and light of the world. St. Paul was the one who reminded the church in Corinth, you show that you are a letter from Christ, written not with ink but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone but on tablets of human hearts, We see that in the second letter of St. Paul to Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 3. Christians themselves, not the things they say, are Christ's letters of recommendation to the world. God bless you all.